Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be finding out whether or not the Canon M50 is good for filming videos like this, or is it good to film vlogging videos like this. Hey guys, welcome back to FFC, Filmmakers for Christ. I'm Nathan Melton, and today we're going to be seeing if the Canon M50 is good for filming videos like this one, more professional, or is it good for vlogging? Or possibly both. Let's find out. First things first, for vlogging, it has a flip screen and a microphone port. So for vloggers, this is very important so you can make sure you are in frame and also make sure that you have good audio. So another thing is that this camera is a good size. It's not too big and it's not too small. It fits perfectly in my hand, and it's not like a huge DSLR that you have to carry around vlogging with, and it's not too heavy, but you're still getting a decent size, good enough size to grip onto, and also there's a lot of features packed into this camera. Now, one of the coolest things in my opinion is that if you shoot 1080p on this camera, you get dual pixel autofocus. So this is really cool and really awesome to have. That way, if you're walking around, it's just going to stay locked on your face and keep you in focus all the time. So this is a huge plus. You can also shoot 1080p at 60 frames per second, so you can get slow-mo. So this is really cool. So like I was just saying, this camera can shoot 1080p at 60 frames per second or 24. And this is really awesome to be able to shoot 1080p at 60 frames per second, so you can get nice, crisp slow-mo while still having a nice sharp image. This camera just has awesome colors. I think that what you pay for, you get great colors out of this camera. Canon is known for its great color science, and I'd have to say, for such a small camera, the colors look really good on this camera. Now let's talk about some of the bad things about this camera. So for vlogging, this camera has an APS-C size sensor. This may not sound very bad, but for vlogging, it kind of is, because it does crop factors. So when you're shooting at 1080p, it has like a crop factor of like 1.52, somewhere around in there. So it'll crop in a 15mm lens to a 24mm lens. And if you're shooting 4K on this camera, it crops in 2.56 times. We'll talk about the 4K a little later. But this is kind of a downside for vlogging, because normally you want a super wide angle shot. So what I recommend doing is buying a little screw-on attachment to widen your view on your camera. Now this camera does have a decent battery life, but it's not the best. And so if you're going to be filming all day, I do recommend buying a couple extra batteries to last you the rest of the day. And the final, last semi-bad thing about this is if you want to put a microphone on your camera for vlogging, the microphone port is kind of placed in an odd spot. It's not a huge issue for me personally, but just something to be aware of. Now let's talk about the filming side of it. Not vlogging, but filming like this. Let's talk about the good. Now we've already talked about the colors, but once again I'm going to bring it up because for filmmaking, colors are awesome. And so once again, the colors are super awesome straight out of the camera, and I've only done a tiny bit of color grading to this footage because, like I keep saying, the colors out of this camera are awesome. Now for filmmaking, us filmmakers, we love sharp images, and so I think this camera can really give you some good, clear, sharp images right out of the camera. Another thing is that this camera has like silent autofocus. I was worried that when I was going to get the camera that it would have loud autofocus, like my mom's T3i. That thing has really loud autofocus when trying to focus it on auto mode. I was like, is it gonna be really loud like that? But it turns out this camera has like completely silent autofocus, which is really cool. Now the kit lens that comes with this camera is pretty decent. It's not the best of the best lenses out there, but it is pretty good. But if you want to change out the lenses, you can, because this camera has interchangeable lenses, which I really love that, so we can put on different lenses to go on the camera to get different kinds of shots. So we kind of talked about how this camera has an APS-C size sensor and how it was kind of bad. Now, this sensor is actually a pretty good sensor. It's fairly large, and I love this sensor. So, one of the good things about it is that since it's larger, it's better in low light, and it also allows you to get a shallow depth of field. And so I think it's really cool that they were able to fit a sensor this size into this camera so you can get cool shallow depth of field. Now, some of the bad things about this camera is that if you shoot 4K, you have a huge crop factor, such as 2.56 times. And so if you're shooting on a 15mm, it's really going to crop in a whole lot. And so for filming professional movies, it zooms in a lot. So you're going to need a super wide lens to be able to get a pretty decent wide-angle shot. And once again, this camera doesn't have the best battery life, so if you're doing an all-day filming shoot, then I suggest getting some extra batteries, which I have, so once again, not a problem for me. The last thing is that if you've owned previous cameras such as the Canon T3i or the Canon T4i, or even some of the newer cameras, this camera has an EF-M mount instead of EF mount. So in order to put some EF lenses on your camera, you have to buy an adapter for the camera. This isn't a super big deal for me because I don't have any EF lenses, so not a big deal for me, and if I do want to put EF lenses on there, I'll just buy an adapter. So there you go, guys. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please leave a like and smash that subscribe button. It helps me out and lets me know that you guys want to see more videos. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you guys in the next one.